All right, Pisces, thanks for tuning in to your December of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen. Okay, so the emphasis this month is on your 10th house. You've had Pluto transiting that 10th house for many years now, and now there's a lot of activity involving Pluto this month. We've got all the fast-moving planets going over Pluto, while at the same time a very close aspect, an exact conjunction, or not conjunction, but square between Uranus and Pluto. And this has been the ongoing square between these two planets over the past couple years. But what makes this month significant is that it's the second to last of these hits, the last being of March. And the second to last is always the learning experience. There's something that we're going to learn this month. It's very important. Same kind of energy we've been learning, not exactly on a mundane level like the exact sort of experiences, but there's something we're learning, and there's going to be a new lesson learned here that we can then apply from this month into March, okay? And it's very constructive, and when we really step into the power to create the constructive changes in our life, then things flow, and there's a lot of opportunity for flow and presence in this. It does not have to be a very strong destructive month. It doesn't have the energy other than the fact that it's a square, but there's a lot of harmonious aspects that I'll talk about that will assist us in this transformation. But again, when you're a willing participant and you take action, which is what a square is all about, then there's no longer the stuff happening to us. We are creating the active changes in our life, and then it's no longer destructive. It's very constructive when we approach it in that way. So for you, it's involving that 10th house of career. For the past many years, there's been transformations there, and it's helping you step into your power there, helping you release any attachments that have been in that 10th house. And you know, Pluto works very behind the scenes in the depths of the psyche, and there is a lot of work that's being done that's not very conscious, that we're not very aware of, but it's happening. Now, we will have some awareness this month in terms of it, but it's really not needing to understand all the details of it and just going with the flow of it, okay, which you guys naturally do as Pisces anyways, but this is a reminder and a sort of reworking of the importance of releasing attachment. And overall, what Pluto is doing is Pluto is showing you that your work or whatever you're doing for service has to come from the heart, has to come from your heart. And through that, you step into that spiritual power, because Pluto's powerful, okay? But there's all kinds of power. And the power that is most useful in our lives is when it comes from the heart. Then it benefits us, it benefits others, and it benefits everything and everyone around us. So that is a reminder to open the heart chakra for all of us this month, but especially involving your connection to your work or whatever you're doing on the big picture. The 10th house is just anything you're giving back to humanity, back to the society. Usually means career, but it doesn't necessarily mean for monetary exchange. It's just anything you're doing of service, okay, or anything public that you do as well. So transformations there, and the first thing that happens that involves this astrologically is that Venus goes over your MC, goes into your 10th house, and this happens on the 5th at the very beginning. So last month there was a strong emphasis on your guys' life path, on your direction, your connection to the higher realms, perhaps travel, perhaps university stuff, studies, philosophy, astrology, that kind of stuff in the 9th house. Now the shift is going into more practical, which has to do with the work and what you're doing for public, right? And the first is Venus. Venus on the 5th goes in there, which has to do with you enjoying your work. So from the 5th through the 13th, you're going to notice the energy the highest, but for all month, really, notice the enjoyment that you're getting from your work, okay? Notice the pleasure that you're getting from it. And that work, you have to be connected. You have to be receptive to it. There has to be a connection, between you and your work. That's what Venus is showing us, is our connection to things and how we can enjoy things. So enjoy your work, enjoy whatever it is that you're doing of service, and you're going to notice that that is creating a gateway. Because at the end of the day, all these transformations are showing us that it's about how to enjoy life more. And in this sense, it's how to enjoy your work more. So pay attention to that. And then on the 13th, Mercury goes in there. So pay attention to how you're thinking about work. Make sure that your thoughts are constructive and positive. and use the analytical mind to learn a little bit more about that sector of your life, and perhaps use your mind at your work would really be a nice time to do that from the 13th onward. But pay attention to those feelings through that state of presence by observing the mind. Then on the 15th, it's very important because that's when the square goes exact between Uranus and Pluto, and the Sun goes into that 10th house. So I think that that's a big shift. And so middle of the month, but we're going to feel the shifts all month. But in the middle of the month, there's going to be a big shift, and it's going to be involving, I think, how you can create more through your work, how important work is for your life force energy. You have to feel like you are of service. You have to feel like you have long-term plans, long-term goals in order for you to come alive, in order for you to be creative, and how important creativity is in that sector. So from the 15th onward, tap into that creativity, put it into your work, or put it into whatever you're doing on that collective service related area. And you'll see a tremendous amount of vitality and energy that comes from that when you're enjoying what you do again. So now the square between Uranus and Pluto, it goes exact, and it's been involving, like I've been saying, Pluto in the 12th, which is essentially you guys have been getting rid of a lot of garbage, a lot of stuff that's just no longer serving you in that area. Perhaps it's a type of work, field of work, a job in particular, or in the job that you're at, getting rid of a lot of clutter, garbage. And Pluto is very like behind the scenes, so it's your emotional connection to your work. Getting rid of some old ideas, some old emotional attachments to your work, notions of your work that are just no longer serving you. Okay, now's the time to clear house, and that's what this whole square is all about. And what it's it's involving you being more free. You realizing that it's so important for you to have freedom in your work, to be yourself at work when you're working. Now, of course, that doesn't mean just entrepreneurship or working for yourself. It just means you have to have a work environment that is conducive to you being yourself. And sometimes all that takes is just literally you just being yourself, and then naturally your relationships at work will change. Other people, the whole situation, the bosses and everything will adapt to that new you once you step into that power, the power to be yourself. And that's what this square is all about. It's a power of freedom. Okay, and that's what all this grander stuff's happening in the world, is everyone is stepping into their power of freedom and independence and individuality. But on a mundane level for you personally, it's affecting all of us on an individual level as well. And for you, it's your first house. So you guys literally being free, so important that you let your outward appearance mirror this freedom. Okay, but it's going to take some restructuring to whatever notions and stuff that's going on with the work. So bringing these two together, okay, is going to really unlock the energy. So like I said, bringing more freedom to your work, being yourself at work, those types of things. And also the restructuring that you're doing there, clearing house in that 10th house and coming from the heart with your work, you're going to notice freedom is natural. It's helping you feel free. It is naturally coming from that. Okay, so they're very strongly related. When you're willing to make these changes, you're willing to step into this freedom, not listen to what society thinks in terms of this, because that's what Uranus is. It's not the notions placed on us, it's our individuality, our uniqueness, our unique spark. Uranus is the higher self. It's your higher spark from source. And stepping into that and having the power and seeing the power in that. So that's the transformations. And from the 20th onward, the personal planets then start to go over Pluto. And this is where things start to get personal. So for the first part of the month, use that perhaps in an introspective way, but a personal way where you're getting familiar with the energies like I talked about, creating through your work and all these sorts of things. But then from the 20th onward, you're going to notice it's needing something in the external. Things are starting to come to surface, the relationships, etc. So the first is relationships with Venus. Be willing to just change. Be willing to allow change in relationships, to release any attachments to relationships. Then Mercury goes over, so release any attachments to any ideas you have about work or how you're communicating through your work. Release any attachments to that. And then the Sun goes over, which is going to have to do with releasing any attachments to your creation at work or that life force energy that we spoke of. So be willing to do that, and I feel like wanting change, just literally wanting change in that area is going to be enough, and opening the heart, of course, too, it's going to be enough to allow the external reality of the situations to be not so, flying at us or destructive or creating any problems or disharmony in our life. But I'm not getting the sense of that. What I'm getting a sense of is maintaining that sense of power and control over this part of your chart. And through that, you're going to be the active participant and being consciously oriented to change. So you are the change, and the change isn't coming at you. Now, through this, you want to maintain a very strong sense of presence and flow. This is for the whole month. We're going to have Chiron and Neptune sextiling up to this 10th house. So through this whole process, it's very important you remain present. It's very important for all of us to meditate, be very present this month. Tap into that heart chakra again, which is emphasized by Neptune. Be compassionate with yourself and others. Link your heart with your work, that sort of thing. And you're going to notice all of this is very healing too, when you're being the active participant in the process, okay? And pay attention to how it's healing you, because if it's actually healing, it's healing your spirituality, it's healing your presence. Neptune and Chiron have been transiting your 12th house. Sextiling up to this position is essentially healing, helping you be more present in your life and enjoy peace in that area of your life and in all areas of your life, really. So, presence, very strongly emphasized, especially with work this month. Now, the 20th onward, very personal, and on the 20th exactly, we have a sextile between Mars and Uranus. I think on that date, there's going to be a tremendous amount of newfound freedom, okay, through perhaps these transformations, because we're all transforming. So there's a new us that's being shaped through this, and it's a new public you or a new career you, through your work or whatever. And it's transforming. Now those transformations are going to create a new sense of freedom later on in the month. You might notice it's subtle, it's building its energy up because Uranus is a slow planet. It takes them a little while to go station direct. But there's a newfound freedom, okay? Tap into that, notice it, pay attention around the 21st, because that freedom is going to assist you for the next few months during this transformational process between December and March. Now in terms of the 20th also is Mars is sextiling up to that Uranus position. Now Mars is playing a very benefic role this month. And so putting energy into wherever Mars is, I think, is really going to support us. And so for you, it's your 11th house. And with all this emphasis on your 10th house, I think it's very worth noting that the 11th house is about the value you derive from your work. Okay, it's not for the monetary gain. It's for the deeper side of things. What do you enjoy about your work? What do you, what's under the surface? What are you getting? What are your values in your work? Put energy into that this month with Mars in that 11th house. It's almost like you want to be focusing on, gaining the more deeper side of your connection to your work. Or perhaps it could also be service oriented, actually. Perhaps this is the month where you should be giving more. And you'll find enjoyment in that, actually, if you can do that, if that's in your work sphere, how you can give more, how you can be more of service to others and focusing on that, helping others. And then there's the deeper aspect to the work, a deeper connection. And also putting energy towards your ideals too, okay, this month with Mars in the 11th, and also hanging out with friends and groups and that sort of thing is overall going to benefit you also. So put your ideals into action. Okay, I think is a really strong emphasis. And all that energy you put into Mars, I feel like it's really going to support these transformations and unlock that freedom that's coming about, especially from the 20th onward. Now do balance those ideals with your creative self. Jupiter's been transiting your 5th house, and this is opposite Mars, and this is the only thing to balance in terms of the Mars energy. Is just making sure you're expressing yourself. Okay, that the focus isn't too much on others. Make sure that there's enough focus on you and your creativity, what's important to you, and how you can bring more abundance to yourself. Okay, through your expression. The 5th house is your inner child. Nurture your inner child this month. But overall, you guys are feeling very good about this because Jupiter's been transiting this 5th house for almost a year now. But he's going station retrograde on the 9th. So from the 9th onward, really reflect on how you can tap into that inner child, how you can be more playful, more enjoyable in your life, and overall that life is just about fun and enjoyment and happiness, okay? And see all of the abundance there and all the creativity that you have actually with Jupiter in the 5th. You guys have a lot of creative energy that you can use in all areas, including your work, but in all areas of your life for the past year. So reflect on that, see what's there, and do that for the next few months. Now Saturn is providing the grounding element. I feel like with all this transformation taking place this month, it's very important that we stay grounded. And Saturn just recently went into your 9th house at the beginning of November. And that's had to do with you guys being grounded in terms of your path. Realizing that the spiritual path, which is your journey in life, your direction, takes discipline, takes maturity, it takes practical steps, one step at a time. So keep putting that energy into that 9th house, okay? In terms of grounded energy, okay, which is the root chakra, which is connecting to it, seeing it as a real thing. Your path is spiritual, but it's also real. And make advancements there, and when you're putting energy towards that path, and this on a mundane level has to do with travel and university studies as well, for those of you involved with those sorts of things. But staying grounded with your connection to the higher realms and your connection to your path, and putting practical steps towards it is going to create a strong anchoring point and a strong grounding element for you guys this month. All right, so let's talk about the full moon and the new moon. The full moon's happening on the 6th, and it's happening in Taurus, which is your guys' 3rd house. So there's something culminating in this area, and it has to do with consciousness. That's essentially what the 3rd house is about. And so pay attention around the 6th. Full moons in the 3rd house can really give us insight, okay? It's the house of Mercury. There's messages being communicated there. So especially for you guys around the 6th, pay attention to a new perspective that's being given to you, or that you're receiving, that you're being open to receiving. And that is going to, I think, assist you in these transformational processes. Also pay attention to how your thoughts and communications are creating your reality. So pay attention to that, especially around the 6th. But overall, it could be just a culmination of perhaps whatever you guys have been working on in the 3rd house, which on a mundane level has to do with sales, siblings, communications, learning, teaching. Perhaps some of you might be, might be finishing college for some of you in the university, and that's an interesting time for that. But whatever it is, something culminating in that early part of your learning process and what you've learned, perhaps what you've learned over the past 6 months. Reflect on that, and that can be a really strong supportive energy for you this month. Now on the 21st, to wrap everything up, we have a new moon taking place in that 10th house of career, work, service, public, etc. And that is going to create a fresh beginning. And this is a fresh beginning leading into January and into the new year. So reflect also around the 21st, but notice that with all this newfound information about the 12th house, it's not information because like I said, Pluto is very deep, it's under the surface, but just feel into it. Feel in around the 21st, notice these transformational changes that have happened on a deep emotional level, a deep etheric level, that is creating more freedom and etc., and just overall power and compassion and just joy through your work or through being yourself, okay? And that's going to create the gateway into next year. All right, so I'm going to draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little more emphasis for you this month in particular. Okay, Capricorn. I've been getting a lot of Saturn and a lot of Capricorn in these monthlies, and I think that is Spirit really wanting to convey the importance of staying grounded this month and not losing sight of the overall perspective. You know, Capricorn is the top of the chart, is able to see everything in the grand perspective. Don't lose sight of that. Stay grounded. Take your practical steps. Mars is in that Capricorn, so it is literally taking steps. That's where the action is being unlocked from the big picture, the big long-range plans that you guys have. So set those plans if you don't have them big, because it's very important to have long-term and short-term goals. Set long-term goals this month and don't lose sight of them as you're going through these transformational processes. You might need to adjust them, but I'm not seeing anything transformative about that. Just put in energy towards it and don't lose sight of that big picture. And maybe this is also an emphasis for you guys to put in energy into those ideals, groups, etc., that are all ruled by the 11th house, and getting that deeper sense of value, connectiveness through your work. Just want to let you guys know that I'm offering a special this month. It's a 45-minute recorded reading gift you can give to a friend or family member. And of course, you guys already get 50% off my 1-hour sessions, which you can also extend, and it's a great way to look at the year ahead. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great month, and I'll see you next time. Take care.